Okay. Sounds good. Okay, so what got you interested in coaching in the first place?
Well, I tried out for my university's collegiate team and I didn't make it. So I was like, I think it's time that I just sort of see what I can do to improve.
Okay. So I guess then to dial back again even further, um, why is your interest in collegiate?
Well, like, I don't know, 4 years ago, I used to scrim on Xbox and it was a lot of fun. So, and I've been playing on PC for a while now, so I thought I'd try out for the collegiate team.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have an interest in competitive Overwatch.
Okay.
I
Makes
find it
sense. Makes sense. So you
yeah.
didn't quite make it. You want to kind of revisit, figure out what was going on, and you said specifically you want to work on your communication.
Yeah, that's what they said that I was lacking on. It's weird because I was playing mostly Sigma, and I feel like when I'm playing Sigma comps, like the opportunity to communicate is really a lot less than if I'm playing Winston or Ryan or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. So, a little bit of the variety with the tank. Now, how long you been playing Overwatch?
Oh man, probably about like 6 months after release. So I don't know how long that is now.
Okay.
6 years.
Okay.
7.
And what got you into tank specifically?
I don't know. I've kind of always bounced back and forth between DPS and tank. I think one day I just queued tank with my duo and we won a bunch of games and I hit masters and I was like, all right, I guess I'm playing tank from now on. So I think that's why I've been playing tank recently.
And why the tanks that you chose? Because I assume you enjoy those tanks more.
Yeah, I just enjoy those tanks more. The VOD I chose is a Sigma VOD for the most part, which I think I'm pretty weak on. So.
Okay. Sounds good. So you're diamond?
Yes.
Okay. So you've been playing the game for a long time and you want to improve your level of play. I'm going to be frank with you, especially considering your situation. For the amount of time that you spend, 15 to 20 hours, you're still diamond.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think that is? Because it's never, I'm just dumb or stupid or whatever. It's never that. There's always something more complex than that. So I'm curious, do you have any impressions on why that is?
I don't know if I could say. I definitely haven't been playing that much recently. But I don't talk in team chat, I think, as much as I should, which is something that I can improve on.
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to be honest with you. That's never been an issue for me and any of the students that I've worked with. So I'm sorry to interject, but I would say don't worry about that at all.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, apart from that, I feel like I'm pretty happy with how I play 90% of the games.
Okay.
So I'm not really too sure what
Fair enough. All right, we'll take a look then. Said your comms leadership on tanks were what caused you not to be chosen. And that's tough.
Yeah.
Is that correlated at all with what you were saying with the team chat thing, or is it just kind of a different issue?
I guess it could be a little correlated, but I think it's mostly just about. I feel like when I'm playing Sigma, I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, I got you. It's tough because I don't really have a solution here because I think when I think back to what allowed me to, because I'm a pretty good shot caller, right? A lot of that is from my coaching experience, but even back when I was an idiot and I didn't know anything about Overwatch, I remember being silver and gold in shot calling and doing a pretty good job of it. So much of a good job actually to where I actually had to stop doing it because it was building bad habits because I would focus so heavily in communication that my own gameplay would suffer a little bit and I'd get tilted that teammates wouldn't follow my calls. But like I said, that shouldn't be an issue with why you're climbing. And I don't, if your issue is communication and leadership, I've never really figured out how do you practice that outside of the team environment, which is the team environment you failed to join.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna think of it as we go through the form here. Okay, so 20 hours per day. How's that time spent?
Mostly, I think 100% comp.
Do you warm up at all?
No.
Okay. Have you tried warming up before? Has that ever been a part of your routine in the past?
Yeah, I used to do that on console, but ever since, it just never seemed to have a huge impact on my play.
Sure.
I think it could be helpful though.
Okay. Here's what I would recommend is give it the 5-minute check. If anything's worth doing, it's worth doing for 5 minutes, right? So what you do is you try it for 5 minutes. You try it for a couple of weeks. You see how it feels. Even if it's just a, what do they call it? When it's the fake sugar pill Fried.
The placebo effect.
Placebo effect. I cannot remember that word, but yeah, placebo, right? Even if it's just a bit of a placebo, I think just getting you a little bit more alert could be useful. Well, also, what are so something like a Sigma, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bit tricky mechanically, right?
Yeah.
So unironically, it might be kind of useful just to spend 5-10 minutes a day just practicing. Whether it's in an unranked deathmatch, I hate to be that guy playing Sigma in deathmatch, but you know what? It's unranked. Enjoy it. Honestly, even Vaxta wouldn't be the worst thing in the world either. You familiar with Vaxta?
I'm not. No.
Okay, let me show you something. This is generally not the best tank warm up, but it's fine for our purposes here. So let me show you really fast. So VXTAA or VAXTA. And you just jump in the workshop chamber. And this one is super good for hit scan. Super bad for mobile DPS. Would not recommend it for something like a Winston or a Ball, but let's see, it's a little Sigma here. And then you can change the movement speed and do all sorts of stuff here. So let's set it to normal, and I'm about to embarrass myself. So you can go whop, whop. Oh, see, I didn't leave my shots there enough. And so basically what you do is this is hard, right? This is not easy.
Yeah.
And you can actually practice landing or missing, in my case, directs over and over again. And you think this is hard? Wait till they go with the hard movement speed. Look at the movement speed here. And it's not just the movement speed, it's the unpredictability as well. Jump, strafe, crouch, 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 jump, strafe, jump, strafe, jump, strafe. And this is something you could turn your brain off for 5-10 minutes and work at. And because it's instant respawn, infinite cooldowns, you get to practice whatever you want for 5 minutes. Now, I will say, as you can probably imagine, it's unbelievably boring. But doing it for 5 minutes might be just the kind of intensive psychological focus that you need to help your ranked games go a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll do that.
And then how are those hours spent in terms of the spread? Are you heavier on some days, lighter on others? Are you mostly equal?
Oh, it's definitely not equal. Some days I'll play a couple hours. Some days I won't play at all.
Give me an approximation of how that usually looks. I'm sure it's inconsistent, but generally on a week-to-week basis, what does it look like? 3 days on, 4 days off?
I'd say about maybe 4 or 5 days on and 2 days off.
Okay, that's not too bad. Could be better. Better. Maybe that's something where it's like the warm-up, where you try on the days off. You just get 1-2 games in.
Okay.
You get what's called the minimum effective dose, where it's just enough to kind of get a little bit of practice in, and that's it. You call it right there. Now that might also take discipline because you might want to keep queuing after that, right? So you might have to learn to put on the brakes. But generally, the idea is that consistency, playing a little bit every day is good, but also spreading out your efforts, especially because I'm going to jump ahead here, but you have your sleep issues, right? So I think, unfortunately, I think your battery is a little bit shorter than the average person. So factoring that in with your play might be really important, that you don't play beyond 3 or 4 hours almost ever. Because otherwise you're going to run out of gas really, really, really quick. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Try that. Just try that. Same thing with the warm-up. It doesn't need to be set in stone, but try that. So let's actually take note of that really fast. Warm-up, deathmatch /Vaxta, code try for 5-10 minutes, for a couple of weeks. See if how it feels. And then for try minimum days, where you only 1 or 2 games on normally off days. See how it goes. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's keep going here. So goals, long-term goal, high-level collegiate player. Short-term goals, simply earn myself a spot on the team. Okay. Mechanics is definitely an issue for me. I have shaky hands naturally, but apart from that, I haven't felt motivated to do aim training in a while. Okay, so talk to me about that.
I'm not sure really what to say about that. I think I have a little bit of shaky hands. I don't really do aim training.
Okay.
I haven't in a while.
Okay.
Because to be honest, the collegiate thing kind of got sprung on me, and I had a couple days of practice. But
sure.
In terms of climbing, in Diamond, I think maybe in higher level play, like team play, I think mechanics could be an issue, but in comp, I don't see that as being a huge problem for me.
Okay. Sounds good. I mean, mechanics are always going to be useful to climb. The nice thing is that like you're playing a role that like even with shaky hands, super precise isn't always necessary when it's tank, right? So like even with Sigma, like as bad as my Sigma aim was in there, a miss and a hit isn't the difference between this and this, right? You see my crosshair?
Yeah.
Like that's not so even if you're shaking a little bit and it's a little, I don't know how bad your shakes are, but like this is still going to hit with Sigma. If I'm playing Diva, 90% of my damage is going to be in proximity, right? So if I'm at point blank range, the difference between this, and this, it's still going to be head hitbox, right? So it doesn't matter all that much. So then what's going to help you mechanically, if that is a limiting factor, even now or in the future, is going to be the consistency with the rank, the consistency. Honestly, even trying that warm up routine as well. But yeah, there's really no way to shortcut that one besides just consistent play and doing the best that you can. Yeah. Okay. Sorry to hear about your sleep issues. I know that's tough. Glad to hear that you're seem to be at least working around them or trying to work to improve them. But obviously not. That's tough. So
not ideal.
Condolences for sure. Do you have any questions? Anything else that you want to go over before we look at your gameplay?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm ready to go.
So VOD time?
Yeah. So I have a YouTube video, but my mic is pretty quiet and my duo's voice is a lot louder than mine in the video.
If it's audible, it's doable.
We could do that, and then we could also we could just look at the replay and then see like what I should be coming,
Sure. Let's start with the VOD and see how it goes.
Okay.
Close down Overwatch actually really fast here. Okay, so
I also played a little bit of Zarya at the end.
Okay. So it starts at 5 minutes in. Is that where you wanted to start?
No, I should just start from the beginning.
Start from the beginning? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. We should be good to go here. So this is a ranked game. You're communicating with your duo?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. So this is mostly Winston, you said a little bit of Zarya?
It's going to be Winston,
Sigma,
for the first. Yeah, Winston, mostly Sigma, and then a little bit of Zarya.
Okay, so let me give you a checklist right here. When it comes to communication, it's less about how much you're calling. It's not the quantity at all, not to be corny, but it is indeed the quality. But the important thing that a lot of people miss is what is a good call and what's a bad call. There are a lot of times back in Overwatch 2's past, even Overwatch 1's past and further, it was like a lot about like calling cooldowns and calling targets and calling things like that. The problem is that those calls can be useful given certain circumstances, like calling an auto-nade or a lamp or an ultimate can be pretty useful. But the problem with that is that if you put too much emphasis on that, you miss the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
Biggest thing you need to be calling with your Winston is just I'm in. And that's it. When you jump in or whether you're shooting something, I mean, just calling I'm in and then I'm out is really 99% of what Winston communication is, because that's all you need to tell your team that they need to be engaging, they need to be shooting, they need to be healing. And then crucially, I'm out means that, hey, you can continue to do what you're doing, but you don't have my space creation capabilities. Now, why is I'm in and I'm out specifically a Winston call?
Probably just because he can take space so dynamically with his abilities.
Sure, but then also consider that ability, the bubble in particular. Very on or off, right? Bubble, very powerful. No bubble, you're one of the worst heroes, if not the worst hero in the entire game. So you're very black and white about how effective you are. Now, you said you also play a little bit of Zarya, so you could probably see where we're going to go with this, right? So when we're talking about Zarya, what is the really, really low-hanging fruit, 90% of Zarya communication? This one will be a bit trickier.
I'd have to guess just focusing targets down.
Could be. But when are you allowed to focus targets? When are you allowed to do damage to Zarya? Under what circumstances? What do you need?
I need them to burn cooldowns.
Sure, but how do you burn their cooldowns? What do you have that allows you to burn cooldowns, to allow you to do damage?
Oh, the bubbles.
The bubbles. So similarly to Winston, if you're saying Bastion, I'm pushing, I'm in, that's only allowed because you have what in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen?
The bubbles.
The bubbles. Now, let's say you didn't have bubbles. Even if you had 100 charge, if the enemy team is still alive, are you necessarily engaging?
No, because you want to wait for the cooldown.
Right. So you might be poking, doing a little bit of damage, maybe shooting the enemy tank a little bit, but you're not actively creating a big, scary threat that your team can capitalize off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And now that also applies to your bubbles too. So if you wanted to bubble somebody else with your bubbles, it would be the same thing. I have bubble available. I can bubble you, right? And that's not something you might be doing in ranked, but in team play, if you're working with a Genji or a Reaper, or maybe even a Pharah looking to barrage, right? That's something that you can communicate. And you know what? That's it. That's all you need to worry about. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that I would not even want you spending a lot of time thinking about calling cooldowns or calling positions, maybe pinging people as necessary, but that's it. Because if you're failing this call, it doesn't matter all the other details that you're getting, right? You're failing the most fundamental aspect of your character and you're throwing the game.
Yeah.
And this is where a character like Sigma can get really awkward because you're like, well, I'm not an in or out character. I mean, Sigma is cooldown reliant in a way, but most of the time you're just kind of a turret. You stand there, you passively control space. So what do you call a Sigma?
I'd say it's more like just micro cooldowns, positioning, that kind of thing.
Sure. I mean, you would still call if I'm pushing, if you were to push,
right, yeah.
Or if you were to kite because you had no CDs or were 1 HP, you'd call that too. But for the most part, you could just call targets. You can kind of call who you're shooting, but it's not as comm intensive. So when you said earlier, I'm struggling with my communication as Sigma a little bit, well, yeah, that's normal because you're not a black and white tank. You are a gray tank. You're pretty much always engaged, but you're not always hard engaged. Now let's keep going down the list. You said I play a little bit of Orisa. Okay, so how do you call as Orisa?
Oh,
tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit more similar to Ryan and the like just call when you're going in and then just focus down a target. Sure.
What if you're just staying here and hold this corner, just shoot shield? Because that could happen, right?
Yeah.
So what would you call here?
I don't know if there's anything to call. Just
right. Not as much.
Yeah.
How about something like, let's say that you get pushed here, and you're calling Ryan. You have to use a cooldown, right? What cooldown are you going to use? Most likely,
probably rock.
Okay.
On the Rhine, yeah.
On the Rhine. Okay. And let's say the Rhine is 1 HP. And you want to push. What do you call?
Rhine 1 HP, let's go,
right? It's just a very simple directional call. Now I'm going to pivot you back to the Orisa again. You ready?
Yeah.
You're on Orisa. And now you're the one being pushed. They are pushing you. Maybe they got a sim beam on you. They're Rhine swing in. They got naded. What cooldown are you going to use? Fortify. Okay. Let's say that the Fortify trade doesn't go so well. Let's say you've accidentally even fat-fingered Fortify. Maybe you used it right here to shoot the Symmetra and you didn't get the kill. What do you need to do?
We need to kite out.
You need to kite out even before they push, just a little bit, because you need to tell your team, hey, I don't have Fortify. I can't hold the space anymore. Because if they push me, I'm dead. Right? Let's keep going. Yeah. What's another tank you play? D.Va, right?
Yes.
D.Va's a tricky one, right? You kind of dive as Winston sometimes. You kind of go in and out, but then you also have a little bit of neutral value. So what is important to call with D.Va? Is it your Matrix? Is it your micro missiles?
I got to be honest, I don't know.
Think about it for a second. If you don't have any strong feelings, that strong feeling can be a tell in of itself, right? Do you have any strong feelings about calling with her cooldowns?
Just making just DM, just when you don't have DM.
Maybe a little bit of DM, right? So then what would no DM mean?
We have to kite.
Right? Maybe not kite, but I'm not engaged. Just call that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, I would agree with that, but nothing really gives any strong feelings besides that. So then D.Va's like almost a gray dive tank where you could be doing a lot pretty consistently, but you're not really hard engaging necessarily. So then what's your communication going to be like? What was Sigma's communication mostly like?
It's going to be a little bit less than the...
A little bit less. More maybe target focus, maybe calling cooldowns, just kind of denying the enemy setups, right? And you could go down the list. Junker Queen definitely feels a little bit more black and white. Calling engages, things like that. Calling when you don't have shout, I need to kite, right? Trying to think what's another tank here. Wrecking Ball. Oh my days. You could probably guess how Wrecking Ball calls, right?
Yeah, just slamming it.
Yeah, I'm in or I'm out. But he's more gray than a Winston, right? Why?
Because he's more versatile with his mobility. He can
right. So he can go in for longer and go in and in, right? Whereas a Winston's very black or white. He's either in or he's out. That's pretty much it. Reinhardt, kind of somewhere in between. Definitely could be an in or out guy too, but he can hold space for longer. Ramatra, what do you think?
I think it depends. I think he could definitely be in with the nemesis, but also like holding corners with the block.
Sure.
could be valuable as well.
Sure. But you're saying what's the most important call from across all tanks, the general idea? What's the most important thing to be communicating?
Just saying when you're going in and when you're not.
And that's it. And that's it. And I'm telling you, if you're able to do that well, that's 90% of tank communication and tank leadership right there. And the challenge for you in the team play is that 90% of that is 60% you calling and at least 30% of you listening to something else being called. If you're playing Diva and your team calls that they're being dove, you have to make a decision about what you need to do, either trade backlines or peel. If you're playing Winston and your backline calls that they're being dove, and you hard dive the enemy backline expecting to get kills instead of just trying to zone them so that your backline can survive, and then you die because you expected healing when there was none to get, you're trolling. You see what I'm saying? So like, but you notice that these are really, really simple, basic things. I'm telling you, it's not flashy, it's not fancy, but it is what you need to be calling. Now, obviously we'll listen to your communication here and see whether you're checking these boxes, but I'm telling you from an Overwatch League level, this is what needs to be called.
Okay.
This is what needs to be called. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So then now that we have kind of like our bar set here, let's see how you do.
Fun.
So I'm going to treat you like you're playing in an Overwatch League scrim. Okay. Okay. So obviously
it's not going to go well. I'm going to let you know right now.
But that's okay. But that's okay because I'm not as like concerned about like, oh, you're trolling every fight because obviously you're just with a duo. It doesn't matter that much. But like, let's pretend that it matters just so that you can practice thinking about it. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay. Fun.
We're off to a great start. Can you hear that okay, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
The damage boosted May body shot I just ate.
Any real windows to like call and engage or call anything super crucial?
I mean, not really. We lost BAP, so we're just kind of playing neutral until he's back, right?
Yeah.
What could you be calling right now? You see the kill feed, right? What needs to be called if you're in an Overwatch League stream?
Just back up and
out. We're now. This isn't just we're down 1. Maybe they can overextend. We're down 2. I have no bubble. Out.
Okay. Yeah.
And see, do you see how you're going to die here? Or even worse, you're going to get both CDs forced, right? Not even worse, but do you see how like the call that needed to be made almost was as important for you as it was for your team?
Yeah.
Because you should have died there. You fed. You should have recognized that. So here's the question for you. Was this a recognition problem or was this a lack of communication problem?
I think it's a recognition problem.
Okay. So what's the skill that needs to be practiced here?
Just being more aware of where my team is when I'm diving in, I think.
Okay. Well, I mean, your team is obviously here, right? But I mean, but half of them are in spawn. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So again, what's the issue here? What needs to be improved?
Just learning when to kite or when to back up and when to.
Okay. And then what needed to educate that decision? What just happened in the top right?
We saw the soldier die. Our BAP's dead, so we need to back out.
And so that's the skill. Because you're like, oh, my team needs to be with me. Well, yeah, but the team that is alive is with you, right? It's instead more so that you just had 2 people die and you're just not changing anything in how you're playing at all.
Yeah.
I mean, your BAP is lamping from spawn to save you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, this is another really important call because it all revolves around your engages. What should you be calling right now?
They're down SIG. We can play it more aggressive. We can push it.
Can you though? Can you? You have how many people do you have alive right now?
I'd say 4. I think BAP's probably back. Yeah.
BAP is back. Soldier's not quite back yet. They have 4 as well, correct?
Yes.
Look at the bottom right. What do you see in the bottom right?
I don't have bubble.
Okay, so can you push right now?
I guess not. I guess it's a risk. If I were to do so,
I would say maybe see what happens first. So then what do you call? Because again, everything revolves around your engage with Winston. So what do you call right now?
Just wait a second. See.
Yeah, wait a second. Just say I'm about to jump. Just hang on, and then go. Right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. So even your mid fight call has to do with the actual engage call, right? It's more along the lines of, because that could be very useful. Like, let's say that your mate wants to push or that your BAP wants to push. They hear you make that call. Now, all of a sudden, they might hold the reins just a second or two and actually sync up with you better. And that's really, really important.
Yeah.
Mercy.
And I'm in, right?
Right, yeah.
Right? Just calling that.
Mercy one.
Because look at all the CDs that are being forced your way, right? Your team is free to do whatever they want. Kiriko and Mei are looking at you, so there's no threat to your team. Walk forward.
Yeah.
You're one.
And that can also encourage them to play more aggressively to help you out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I say there's no threat to your team, but apparently Mikachu on Mercy is just tearing stuff up. So, but by the way, do you see how simple this is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pay attention to kill feed. Tell your team when you're in. Tell your team when you're out. Prep them when you're about to go in. That's it. Now it's not so easy to do consistently.
I got sick here. Never mind.
What should you call right now? Now we could question about whether that was a good engage or not, right? So, but let's not do that for right now. Let's say that because mistakes are going to happen, right? Like you're like, ah, crap, I didn't really do anything. So what should you call right now?
Their team seems a little bit split, so we could go on the Sigma.
Wait a second, could you?
Never. We should back up until I have bubble.
Well, should you? What do you have in the middle of your screen?
I could primal there. I could primal.
You could. Do you think it's worth?
I mean, we're close to capping, so it could be if I could get them off point.
Could be. But you see, these are the questions you need to be asking yourself, right? I don't have bubble, so should I still engage on the Sigma? Was zoning out the Pharah a good enough value of my? Can I engage without bubble here? What if I have primal? Is that worth it? Should I just say, guys, just back up for like 5 seconds, just keep pushing cart, and then I'll engage like in right when I get bubble, so that way I can bubble and then primal afterwards? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna tell you the answer. Because to be honest with you, I don't think the answer is all that important right now. I think it's pretty close to decide which. I think that engage was not good. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. With that.
What you do right now is up in the air. It's tricky, right? It's very, very tricky. But you know what? It's so tricky that I don't think there really is. It's not that important what the right answer is, to be honest with you. If you want to go now, that's fine. But you need to call it. If you want to wait, that's fine. But you need to call it. Both have merit. So let's see if you call it. Your team needs to be walking on the Sigma right now, but I don't know if they are because you did not give them that information.
Yeah.
You know? Or not even if they're walking on Sigma. They could be walking on Pharah on the flank, or they could be shooting the backline, or you could have a Sombra on the backline like looking to assassinate while you're distracting the Sigma. But I don't know if any of that's happening right now.
Oh, I didn't realize you had that mother.
You know, certainly now, right? Certainly now. That has to be called. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Wait for res.
So,
Got res somehow?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think leadership, if we were to use that kind of vague term, for tank is very valuable. But before you even worry about leadership, you need to be asking yourself, am I just communicating what I need to be communicating? Don't worry about fight planning and advanced strategy and macro theory. Just calling when you're in, calling when you're out.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Okay.
Okay.
He has a voice line down.
And here's another one to call here, right? What should you be calling right now?
Your Sig has no shield. I have a bubble. We could maybe play a little bit more aggressive.
I mean, don't just say I'm doing this. I want to push here, right? I want to go, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the things that you can do as well is calling where you want to fight too, where you want to engage. So this is good. See what we got.
So all dear. I recommend. Like, I just fielded a main nice. Good old.
I mean, this all looks fine to me, right? As long as it's called.
Right, yeah.
I mean, at a certain point when you're like here in the middle of a fight here, you probably don't need to call that you're in because I think everybody in your team is fighting.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't need to call anything right now. Maybe you could call targets if you wanted to.
I also kind of thought that.
Yeah, I mean, this is whatever. Your team muffed it, so it is what it is. Okay. Oh dear.
Yeah, I'm gonna be so honest. I was not expecting that jumping up there.
Yeah, but even here, right?
No, yeah. I'm not gonna back if you can. Oh wait, that's right. I can heal you through fuck.
Your team has to walk at that point in time. Even if they just burn Sigma shield. If they walk on Sigma right here, just shoot him. And he has to turn this corner. You see my mouse, right? And back around this corner, and his shield is broken or close to being broken. Good value. I don't know if that's what happened though. I don't know what your team is doing. Your team, you know what? Your team might not have been ready to go. So when you call your intention to engage, they will say nothing, or they will say wait.
Yeah.
And why is that wait call very important?
Because then I know to wait.
You know to wait, right? All that your intention, all that your leadership, and all your decisiveness will do nothing because there will be no follow up.
Yeah.
Walls. Sort of. It's a bat bug.
And I will say that if we're talking about your play in particular, I think there needs to be a little bit more respect about when you're down bubble.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Because it's feeling a little ugly. The nano is good. The follow up is maybe not so good, and obviously that's just a goofy mistake.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that there needs to be a little bit more of a cyclical understanding. But you see how, like, I guess if we not communication isn't everything, but if you understand how to communicate with the character, it does influence how you play. It encourages you to play correctly.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right. Like one of the big things I see with Zarya players is how they spend a lot of time just Zarya. I mean, we're going to look at your Zarya, right? I guarantee you're going to use a lot of bubbles and do nothing with them. And we could make that a communication thing where you're communicating, hey, I have 2 bubbles, I want to walk a little bit, right? Not necessarily like int, but push. And so while you're focusing on communicating with your Zarya bubbles, you're accidentally encouraging yourself to play Zarya correctly, right? And when you're communicating out, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in as Winston, whether it's with Primal or Bubble, you're going to be encouraging yourself to maybe break some of your bad Winston habits too. Okay.
Baptiste is a fair and balanced hero. I have one here.
There's a class. I mean, even this right now. You got to know. Are we here? Is this follow up worth it?
I think
Like, here's a question. What do you think? Like, ignore the communication for just this one fight. What do you think about this one?
I have one here.
What do you think?
I don't think it's very good.
Why?
Because I'm not really doing anything with it. Like, the Reaper's shooting me, but I'm probably going to live anyways. So it's just gonna.
Here's a question: is your team doing anything with this bubble? And by it, your team are they using the bubble, but are they capitalizing off? Because your team, you are getting attention, right? Reaper,
Yeah.
Cassidy, Sigma, looks like Mercy back there too. Is your team benefiting from your attention that you're pulling right now?
Not really, no.
Why?
Because they're not in a position to capitalize off that.
Right. So, when you want to call and engage, what should you do before you call to engage?
Make sure that my team is ready to engage with me.
Yeah. And by engage with you, what do we mean? Dive with you?
Just be in a position where they can get value off of the attention that I'm getting from them.
Brilliant answer. Perfect.
Yeah.
So again, do you see by your preparation and your communication, you're forcing yourself to have better habits?
Yeah. Okay.
Because this is a bad bubble, not just because you didn't communicate it, but just because it's objectively a stupid bubble. Nobody's doing anything right now, right? So this is just a waste of time. I mean, you could tell because you used your most powerful cooldown, and to be honest with you, they're Reaper Wraith, but he should not have Wraithed. They basically needed to use 0 cooldowns to force your most important cooldown, and you're on a nade. That's something's wrong there, right?
Yeah.
But we can always look at that from a communicational standpoint too, right? Where it's like you have a checklist. I want to engage, whether it's on the tank or the backline or whatever. And if my team isn't ready, then I can't call it. And so that encourages you to play, even in ranked, without a single call. Pretend that you're calling. You can call to yourself, right? Be a little bit schizophrenic here, and and that will force you to turn around. That will force you to check the kill feed, right? Like we saw in the first fight.
Softwares that allow you to do that.
I'm in. Now I know you're chilling with your friend in ranked, but that has to be called, right?
Yeah.
And whether you want to practice that, whether you're chilling in rank with a friend, I don't know. But like, if this was a scrim environment, Overwatch League scrim, you need to call that.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Oh my gosh, my brain is fried. I started to use the scroll wheel on my mouse to speed up the replay code.
Even now.
Counter
the tank, I guess.
Not a replay code. Okay. They are really on the counter monkey train.
Oh yeah.
To be fair, this is a pretty nasty map for Monkey, the 3rd point, right?
Yeah.
So this is a pretty good point for Reaper and Cassidy and D.Va, so it's got to be tough.
I had to field
Min, right?
Yeah. So my friend says, "Oh, I got to field myself." So he's obviously getting jumped, and I jump in as he's getting jumped. And
I mean that's fine, right? In a way, because how can you protect your friend? Even a Winston bubble might not save you versus a Reaper Diva. That's going to melt instantly, right? You don't have your Matrix. So maybe the best thing you could do is dive the Ana, force the Mercy instead of the damage boost to peel the Ana, prevent nade, prevent sleep, prevent damage, prevent healing to that backline, and maybe even kill the Ana, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if a Winston can peel here. If you're a Zarya, maybe.
Healed myself.
You just played this badly. She just smoked you, you know. So she's the world's greatest Ana here, and you got smoked. Yeah, so okay. So any questions about your Winston communication?
No, I think he laid it out pretty clearly. It's very helpful.
Good. And I want to remind you that while this is very, very simple, it's going to take a lot of practice to not just do this, but to do this effortlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the goal, is that when you're playing in a team environment, in your collegiate team, what SR is your team that you're looking to join?
It's like High Masters.
High Masters, right? Yeah. Rough, right?
Yeah.
Rough. Because you're going to need to be firing on all cylinders, at least at your current skill level. Your timing, your mechanics, your understanding. You're not going to have any brain space for communication. Unless that communication is automatic and instinctual.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make it automatic and instinctual?
Practice.
Practice. Until the point, literally, you don't even really need to think about it. It just happens. How learning works, right? You need to develop your autopilot, is what I like to say.
Okay.
And that takes conscious practice. The irony is that autopilot only comes from thinking.
Yeah.
But then eventually you don't have to think. Okay, let's take a look. I like the Zarya swap. She's pretty good in this map. It's not just the enemy tank counter swap. It's just this is a really contested small map, right?
Yeah.
So if you play, I think one of the things if you're playing a little bit of tank rock paper scissors, don't just focus on the enemy comp. Focus on the map. Like right now, if you were to play this on Gibraltar into a diva, you'd be trolling, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But here, this is great Zarya, great Zarya place.
I can't see you. Yo. Calm down.
Me?
That's known as feeding, but then they feed more. It's a really smart strategy, and you use your bubbles very well. Nice job.
No, him.
Yeah, I don't know.
First he's cracked.
Let me duel a DPS.
Wait, are you just cracked? You're crazy. Nice job. 2 bubbles, right? So let's go.
Yep.
Probably the new Sombra because I can only duel DPS.
You know what you ought to be calling here, right? Very simple.
I'm in. Shoot the
I'm
bastard.
in. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Well, you be honest with me, actually.
Yeah.
Is there going to be any follow-up here?
I don't think so.
Right. So what should you do right here? 1 bubble here? Okay. Well, what should you do right now? This is exact second.
I'd probably just try and tuck into that corner. To my left.
Tuck back to the left. And then what should you call?
I have a bubble, maybe? Or
And then what should you be asking to do with that bubble?
Can we go in here? Are you guys?
Yes, that's it, right? Because you realize that we're not quite ready to push this yet. We're too far away. Guys, can we put our jogging shoes on and walk forward a little bit here? Because I have a cooldown I want to push with, right? So you're aware that your status is a green light, but you're aware that you've got a lot of red lights behind you that don't need to be red. Right? So guys, let's go. Turn around. If you turn around though, and this is ranked, and nobody pushes, what do?
I don't know. I just bubble myself and try and live, I think.
Well, remember, you've tucked in the corner. You're not engaged at all right now. Remember?
Oh, in that case, just wait until they're ready. So.
Probably just wait until they're ready. And it feels bad to do that, but you know what? You're going to enter this fight with 2 bubbles, 70 charge. It's fine.
Yeah.
It would be better to do that than to be brute force it, no calls, run in, and die. Because where's my team, right? Well, your team was pushing cart, which is fine. It's understandable, but your team is pushing cart.
Mm-hmm.
This is perfect. Look what you did. You disengaged and you turned around. Does this remind you vaguely of what we talked about with Winston?
Yeah.
That's very good. And now he's peeking who? Who's he peeking?
My entire team.
Right. So in theory, what could you do right here?
Walk forward with my bubble, maybe.
Maybe not
We
walk
haven't done it.
forward, but yeah, but you
Just-
can match this, right? He's now
Yeah.
peeking your team, so you're now welcome. So you could say, I'm bubbling, I'm pushing, and sure enough,
He's almost done. Oh, that's not the right button.
to be honest with you, mate, this is great. You should be very proud of this.
Okay,
It's good.
cool.
The only thing we'll add to that is, I guess, because there was no communication, what would you have communicated along with that? Will that change your random Hanzo about whether what he's doing? Probably not, but maybe you could have helped your BAP here. And obviously,
Yeah.
we're treating this like an Overwatch League stream as if people would follow up, even though it's not.
No, honestly, I've had like a couple deaths now. It's just easy mechanical misplays.
Oh, the voices are saying, Graph.
yeah, exactly.
It was a good MO. It worked.
Nice fight.
Dude.
Very good fight. Yeah,
I'm doing this.
almost. What should you call right now?
Reaper's dead.
One of them
I
is
have one
dead too, right? So
Yeah.
this is where you got to make a decision here because you also have Graph. You also have 17 charge. Not that great. So either move. So what could you do here?
I could maybe push up a bit and grab the Mercy cast on top.
What else
right?
could you do? Do
Focusing
the
down.
opposite direction.
The left and the who's
Sure.
up there.
Sure, but the
The-
opposite psychology, I guess, because you're talking push forward, but we could also see a situation in which
back
you
up until
and you just back up or just hold, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. Again, this is a situation like the primal one without bubble. I run into first point.
Mhm.
I could see really either one to be reasonable as long as you're on the same page. That's a bad bubble. Why? Use it from a communicational standpoint. Why is this a bad bubble?
because no one's shooting me.
Right. Are you pushing? Kind of, sort of, yes,
Kind of,
sort
yeah.
of, but nothing's really happening, right? So
Yeah.
the bubble needs to match the pressure, right? The bubble needs to match the pressure. If you're aggro, ego, walking forward, communicating that you're pushing, that's when you bubble. You didn't. You just peaked that. That's not a push. You'll know it when you see it. You'll know it when you see it. And so now you've wasted a bubble. Bubble. I wish you had two bubbles so badly right now. I wish you had two bubbles so badly.
Yeah.
Grab it. Grab it. And so you could even grab it here and be like, hey, I can't push here. I'm just gonna grab.
No, yeah.
Well, by the way, one other tiny little call to keep an eye on. If you really want to focus on CD calls, right? I mean, cooldown calls. Why is calling CDs bad or good? What value does CD information give to you?
It could give my DPS the opportunity to push, but it could also
It could.
clog comms if
It
there's too
could.
much money.
It could. That's why you don't call all CDs, right? You just call CDs that affect your team's decisions and maybe affect your decisions. What do you see on your screen right now?
And they're Winston bubbled basically.
So what are you thinking right now? Potentially.
we can push it.
You could push. So going back to our original example here, you're like, okay, should we push? Should we not push? With the information that we have right now, I actually think pushing is probably slightly more attractive just because they have no Winston bubble. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's another really important CD? Look at their comp. They've got Bastion, Cassidy, Ana, Mercy. Choose your CDs. Pick three. Three most important CDs. Maybe two.
I'm gonna say res bubble and maybe Casnade.
Okay. Can you play around res? Does that affect your push or not push decisions usually?
I kind of want to argue yes, but I know you're trying to get me to say no.
Are you
so-
sure? I'm being purposely ambiguous because why do you want to say yes?
Because if we see, Mercy can't really move while she's resing. If we see her doing that in a position where
So you're
she's
thinking
killable, we can walk on that, right?
if you get a kill and you know they have res, maybe we try to push if possible to deny the res.
Yeah. Yes.
Seems good to me. I would agree with that. So res, bubble. But I disagree with the third one's Casnade. I disagree with the third one's Casnade. Although that's probably not important enough to affect you anyway, right? So what's happening on the right side of your screen? Do you see it?
The Bastion turret. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those are probably the three. Those
Yeah.
are probably the three that I'd pick.
Yeah.
But if you're practicing your calls and you want to like track cooldowns to make better decisions with this, what I would do is instead of taking three, I might just pick one.
Yeah.
I might just pick one. Bastion form alone, if you play around Bastion form or Winston bubble, That's already like good, right?
Yeah.
Already good. So okay. You know, nice bubble. Now you don't need to call anything, but just because you're engaged, just call targets if you want. Nice. Okay. Do you have any questions so far?
No, it's been good.
Okay. Kill feed awareness, tracking the most basic of enemy CDs, but all of it, tracking the positioning of your team. Those are like the 3 ones.
Okay.
But you're using all of those to decide on whether to push or whether to not push.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Everything revolves around that call, and the CD calls, the positioning of your team, all the angles, all those little tiny details. All they serve is just the decision of whether you push or not.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the simplest way of looking at it. Now, this is going to be easier.
Yeah. But that's not Hawaii. Also, that is a Reinhardt with a sim TP.
I don't know
Right on. There's a very real possibility we get teleported on.
Is there anything that you've seen the need to call here?
Maybe just that they're dropping, but apart from that,
Yeah,
not
just
really.
basic positional call. Yeah, maybe a target, right? That's pretty much it. Just shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to give you one little insight. There's a
All right.
cooldown on your screen, in the bottom right-hand corner, that can either be used to stop the enemy team from pushing or to allow you to push. What is that cooldown?
The shield.
The shield, right? Something to keep in mind, right? So if you throw out your shield and your shield is broken, how does that influence your decisions?
I have to play more passive.
Right. What about your rock?
I think that's mainly used. Well, I guess it could be used in both ways as well, though.
You
right?
see, right? So really, the question was kind of a bait, right? Like really, even your shift to an extent can kind of be used both ways. So I guess given what we're seeing here, what we said with the communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I want you to look at your CDs and see if they actually lines up with the way that we should be using them, right? So again, we're using our communication to educate how we're using our CDs.
Good field. Trust me.
What do you think?
As far as my CD usage goes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I don't know if my shield should be there, but at the same time, it could be blocking heals or whatnot coming with Ryan.
Don't be super perfect with it. Was it good enough?
Yeah,
Rock?
I think it was fine. I don't know what more I could have done with it.
I think so too.
Okay. I'm 70 to here.
What could you be calling right now? What just happened to your shield, right?
Shield's down and their bastions in turret.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that a mistake that your shield broke? Maybe, maybe not. But regardless, it's down. So just care.
I almost have there.
You and your team.
I don't think I need it.
And you do it. You do it. When you have rock, maybe it wasn't the best rock, but you have you feel the need, the ability, the desire to push. Uh-oh.
That was a crazy fucking save. I think the window was needed there, actually.
It might have been.
No, it kept up the... I have no field.
What should you have been calling here?
Go in.
Push,
No,
right? Push.
Yeah.
Walk. And by push, you might not necessarily physically walk on top of these guys, but you're peeking them. They have to look at you. It's an opportunity for your team. This is how you tank.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's bad CD usage. Silly, right? But your team should be picking this. And if you turned around and checked that your team couldn't push this, that might educate your decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anti.
Need to push, right?
Yeah.
With kill feed, right? Also look at your torb, right? Look at your torb. Go, go, go. Or take position or something. Now I'm going to give you a minor bit of feedback that's more specific. You really should not be on the floor here. You really should be trying to take top. I know you're thinking a lot about like Earth Shatter and blocking Earth Shatter. I assume that's the case.
Yeah.
It's not really a concern. Let him solo shatter anybody and just peel his backline apart. Reinhardt versus Sigma matchup is pretty neutral, but you're much better at peeling apart his backline than he is at peeling apart yours, especially if you have a high ground to spam them from, especially when you have Flux.
Okay.
Especially when they have TP, and now you can't see or do anything besides shoot Rhine Shield. Rhine Shield's the last thing you want to be shooting if possible.
Dude, they're trying so hard to kill this Ana. Okay, what the fuck? Actually.
I mean, that's great at all, but you're giving him somebody to shatter.
Yeah.
You know, whereas the rest of your team is playing on high ground as it is. And so, like, this is fine, but your Hanzo just died to Ana from the low ground that you could have been spamming. The Bash is walking for free. Soldier's also walking for free.
With their res.
Nice.
Okay,
Oh, dear.
I had a mechanical mishap.
Mechanical mishap. We'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Mechanically, you're playing very well. Quite honestly. Like, you're hitting your shots. You're winning your 1v1s. Like, you know it too, right? It feels good, right?
Yeah.
I just think it could be a question of positioning a little bit better to control these high grounds, to get better access to those squishies that you can kill a little bit easier. I know it's not a communication thing, but it's worth pointing out.
Yeah, definitely.
They go Sigma Mirror. Surely that will solve all their issues. Well, actually, it might.
Yeah, it might
don't
give them
think,
the link for the VOD.
Yeah. You're gonna win the Sig trade, but who cares? There's a soldier on the flank. There's a Reaper on your high ground. Soldier just broke your turret. Oh, look at that. And now you're peeling.
When I should have been up there in the first place.
Do you see how you're positioning is a problem here? I mean, this is pretty much it. Okay, let's I want to see if there's anything besides Sigma here. Is there anything else?
No, I think I play Sigma for the most part.
Just Sigma. Okay. Let's watch a few more fights from a communicational standpoint.
I don't know. Reaper.
Incredible how that works. Coach passive aggressive. Now, you have an important call to make here, right? Because you're thinking down 2, but I'm kind of more of a static tank that doesn't like to move as much. So what do you think? What are your options here?
I could just sit here and burn down their Sig, or I could maybe move a bit to the right on the high ground, shoot their backlane.
Sure could. You could push this, right?
Yeah.
Is your team in a position to push this?
I'm gonna guess yes.
Probably yes, yeah. But you could call it, right? Something to consider.
Yeah.
And again, I know Sigma is like, the zzz, But even just like, here, this is where I'm holding, this is where I'm spamming, that alone is also a good call. It's what does an engage for Sigma look like, You put your shield down and you shoot, right? And so your engage cycles last a long time. This guy.
Nice.
But it's still engaged, right? In fact, one of the Overwatch League details that a lot of people messed up in Sigma mirrors is 3-2-1, turn the corner with shield. And even in Sniper mirrors, a lot of Overwatch League, the best Overwatch League teams were really good at synchronizing the quote-unquote dives, where they 3-2-1 peak. With a Widowmaker, they do that.
Yeah.
And that's how you won Shield Wars, because everybody would peak at the same time, whereas their segment would be a little bit ahead of their back line. And so, we could break down his shield before he could break down ours. And you kind of see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Death Blossom incoming.
Wow. What's crazy is I took 3 hits of that and I'm at 50%. Oh, you dipshit.
Take it. Nah. You got rolled. Also, why are you going for Sigma?
I was just looking for more than one person there, I think.
Don't do it. A little bit of a micro tip here. Take the kill. Ana, immediately dead. And then you're still on the high ground. Kill's a kill, right?
Yeah.
You're not always going to get more than one person, so just take the kill.
Oh, I just got sniped.
Because you got sniped, but also you shot the guy that's going to get double support pocket and probably not going to die. Dang it, I hate when I'm wrong. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah.
And also, you had to drop off of high ground to pursue that kill, so then now you're getting surrounded. Take the high ground. Quick. Get the floor. Oh my goodness gracious.
I'm not there. I'm
Get off the floor. Get off the floor.
5 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
2, 3, 4, 5.
That is actually unreal. That
So
is
I should
crazy.
be on the high ground.
You should be on the high ground. Yeah, I think like Sigma is really really good at taking like a position, a sight line, and just basically dominating it. You're like a budget DPS that's a lot tankier. But that doesn't mean that you were going to sit and trade with the enemy, because the enemy Sigma is on at a disadvantage, right? Like he is the cart bot. Like somebody has to push cart for them, so he can't readily contest high ground as good as you are. Abuse that. Abuse that.
Yeah.
Let him sit on a cart and have full shield and a dead backline. That's the way to look at it. The only time where the Sigma trade really, really matters is like on circuit, where there is nothing to shoot but the enemy Sigma. Sometimes, right? There's no high grounds. They're just shooting at each other.
Okay.
Good. Very good. I'm curious to how you guys. I literally opened my mouth. Curious to how you guys lose this. Now we know, right?
Yeah, the answer's right there.
Oh, I did it to him.
I mean, congrats.
But I fed.
But now you gave up the res. Now the Reaper's tearing apart your backline, and you weren't able to win this. You're not able to kill the squishies. So I think like given the ignoring the communicational thing, that's like a micro thing. That's really 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 key.
Yeah.
Let's watch one more fight. You got time for one more fight?
Yeah, definitely.
One more fight here. What should you call here? What does a leader call here?
Touch point.
Or what's the opposite of that?
Don't touch point.
Don't touch point, right? I mean, it sounds stupid, but really,
Yeah.
you have to decide, right? You have to decide here.
Yeah.
Are we going to commit or are we not going to commit, you know? So, okay, so Tracer's in. So we touch point. Okay.
Yep.
But you need to say, I'm in. Because right now, everybody and their mother is looking at you in the Tracer. So if your backline is too scared, is not, if you don't call this, your backline might give too much respect to the enemy team. If your backline gives too much respect to the enemy team on this retake, do you get any support? No.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get any damage support? No. You get nothing. Because your team isn't sure if you're actually going or not. And so you lose. Now, is that why you lost here? But that's a way that we're framing it for the sake of this VOD. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so let's actually wrap this up here. Let's give you some actionable stuff to work on. And I hope you kind of see like the rhythm, the poetry, not to be corny, but of what we're looking at here. So what is communication as a tank? What is the number one call that everything revolves around?
I'm going in and I'm going out.
When you're in, when you're out. Pushing, spamming, diving, or peeling. That's it. What educates that call, helps you to make that call, is what are some things that help you to make that call accurately?
Team, where my team is.
Where is my team? What else?
Where's the other team?
Where's the other team, right? As stupid as that is.
Yeah.
What else? Remember the CDs, right?
Yeah, right. What cooldowns have they used?
What crucial CDs do they have? Pick one or two. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes you can't force CDs by just existing. Sometimes you have to engage. But because you know that they have Bash and Turret form and you dive in as Winston, you know that you're not hard committing on this engage. So when you engage, you go, guys, I'm just soft engaging. Just we're going to try and bait out Bash and Turret form and survive. But again, it's revolving around that in or out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What CDs do I have? You see that?
Yeah.
Winston bubble, Zarya bubble, Sigma shield, Sigma rock. All of those things educate your decision on whether you can or should or when you will be able to go in. And that's it. That's it. These are things that these are things that educate your decision, but they don't even necessarily need to be things that you call, right?
Yeah.
You could be like, I want to go in 3 seconds knowing that you're playing around your bubble, but you don't have to tell your team that. Why clutter up comps? Just tell them when you're in, tell them when you're out. That's it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Give me 1 second. So here's the deal. I will have this